Hi guys, I'm GTDae, the Average Joe Gamer, and welcome to this week's edition of Wire. This week was pretty quiet for the most part, and I spent some time playing Conan Exiles, grinding my way to level 60. I also tried a few speciality builds to do some things in game, like getting the keys to the legendary boxes, doing some dungeons, and farming crafting materials. I found Conan Exiles to be more fun when you do things like dungeons, but it is a major grind when you have to do gathering and crafting. The game is a bit of a balancing act. You have to sink a lot of time into the crafting sides of things to get the rewards in the end game. I've also been keeping a keen eye on the development of the next expansion of World of Warcraft Battle for Azeroth. I was quite interested in some of the opinions of content creators playing in the beta test. It's quite interesting to see that big companies like Blizzard have similar issues to CIG, even though they are a big studio with many years of experience in developing World of Warcraft. Besides that, I've found the idea of BFA very exciting because it is going back to the battles between the Horde and the Alliance. I've played World of Warcraft on and off since vanilla, but BFA is the first expansion I've really been interested in since Wrath of the Lich King. I can't wait to see it for myself. In Star Citizen this week, I've just realized how rusty I am. I have had a real hard time landing the Reclaimer on the surface of one of the moons. It is such a heavy machine, and when I enter atmosphere it seems to drop straight down to the surface like a rock. Let's hope I can get more adept at handling the bigger ships in the game so I can make nice videos about them. While we're on the topic of Star Citizen, let's look at what happened during this week. First, let's have a quick look at calling all devs. This week we had questions about life support, character identification, and the loadout of the Phoenix, as well as an interesting little cut sequence that interrupted the show twice. First, a question from the community. The question was about identifying players in the verse without name tags. From the previous calling all devs, it seems there was a funny bug with the name tags where they display in interesting positions relative to the player. This happened because they are displayed relative to the ground on a specific axis. In the question, some suggestions was made about how players can be identified besides the name tags. In his response, Josh Herman said that on the surface players and NPCs will look more or less the same. It would be impractical to make different clothing sets for players and NPCs. I would argue that you will still be able to tell players and NPCs apart based on just their clothing. We already have the ability to mix and match our armors and clothing, and we human players have a tendency to do weird and wonderful things when given the options like that. That means if you know your friends, you'll be able to identify them based on how they are dressed and set them apart from the NPCs, at least in that regard, name tags notwithstanding. In Josh's answer, he spoke about sets of clothing in different locations in the game. NPCs will probably be dressed in these sets of clothing, like the Port Olisar collection coming in 3.2 and the Hurston collection scheduled for 3.3. So we will be able to identify NPCs in such a way, at least where the NPCs are from. The idea was also floated that we only see a character's name tag after an introduction was made between two characters. That in itself is a very interesting idea, and I would really like it if a game would explore such a mechanic at some point. If it is Star Citizen or Squadron 42, it might open up a whole bunch of interesting gameplay options. I think it'd be cool to be able to differentiate between characters that you have met in the game and those you haven't. I do, however, fully expect that all characters, players or non-players, will have name tags in the end. So the only reason why character clothing would be important is for story purposes really. We will be able to differentiate between players and NPCs the same way we do in most games. Player characters move differently, and dress differently, and act differently. Similar to other games, we will also find players in-game through the in-game chat or other communications platforms like forums or Discord. Again, if CIG do explore other ways of identifying players without the use of name tags, I'm all for it. It is something really interesting to think about. So that's my thoughts on the question and answer section of Calling All Devs. There was something else intriguing in the show that I think I should talk about, and that was the little Drake Interplanetary visuals that interrupted the show twice. It seemed to suggest that something Drake is coming soon. Now this really made me excited because I like the Drake ships and their styles. This suspicion was confirmed when we saw it again during Reverse the Verse, this time saying it's coming 2018-06-14. So we can safely assume that they will be announcing a new Drake ship on the 14th, which is Thursday, probably on around the verse. As to what that ship might be, I suspect it would be the Vulture. If you think back to the holiday events of last year, we were given the choice of which Drake ship should be the next in development. The community chose the Vulture, which was pitched as a small single-seater salvage ship. At that time, I was hoping for either the Vulture or the Kraken, which was a capital-sized civilian carrier. The Kraken would be awesome, but I think it's more important to get the Vulture in development and fast-track, because salvage gameplay is scheduled for 3.3 and we only have the Reclaimer for that. To put it into perspective, having only the Reclaimer for salvage is almost like having only the Orion available for mining. In my opinion, we need a smaller, more affordable salvage ship along with the salvage gameplay. So let's cross our fingers that CIG had the same ideas as I do on this topic. Now let's move on to Around the Verse. This week was a surprisingly short ATV with a quick Star Citizen project update from Ricky Jutley, a quick look at 2 upcoming light machine guns, and a Bug Smashers episode to end the show. In the project update, we see quite a bit of work is being done on mining. This is the most exciting part of 3.2 because it's a new gameplay loop that we will be able to try out. It was quite interesting to see the mining laser in action and how it was being used. I really hope they iron out all the bugs so that when it's in the game, we can mine the resources easily. Ricky did stress that it is still using old visuals, but I really hope that it ends up looking like it did in the Prospectus teaser video. That searing white laser was spectacular and it really looked like it was digging into the ground, whereas the visuals used in ATV was a little underwhelming and unexpected. The devs is also hard at work dividing our planetary bodies into sections and coding the dispersion of resources into each ecosystem. Each ecosystem is then subdivided into smaller cells with certain limitations on which resources can spawn where and how much of it. This ties nicely into the scanning mechanics, which is also being worked on. In the current version, a ping wave is fired out from a particle emitter which will highlight important things ahead of you. The particle emitter can be focused depending on your needs. Let's say you blast a wide beam and see mineable resources ahead of you, and then you can focus the ping wave a little narrower until you can identify the mineral and its location more accurately. Ricky did suggest that the team have been iterating a lot on scanning because not everyone agrees on what's best for the gameplay at the moment. I hope they can settle on a way of doing it soon and then refine on the scanning gameplay, because scanning and mining goes hand in hand and are both scheduled for 3.2. This week on Reverse the Verse, John Crew and Jared answered questions from the community about the ships coming in Alpha 3.2. Jared also had Tyler Whitkin with him to do a last-minute roadmap update. This was very interesting because they don't usually do roadmap updates on Reverse the Verse. Jared did explain that it happened because certain updates did not make the deadline for the project update in Around the Verse. So today let's run through these roadmap updates and see what's changed. First off, Jared and Tyler assured us that mining in its most basic form will be in Alpha 3.2. This Tier 0 implementation will be exclusively done with the MISC Prospector on planetary surfaces, so no mining of asteroids. Asteroid mining is still planned for the future of the game, hopefully soon, but just not in 3.2. Next, first-person AI combat. Unfortunately, that will be dropped from Alpha 3.2 because it's not ready in its implementation for this patch. I had a feeling that it was still a bit janky from the footage that we saw in the project update of ATV. Reactions of the NPC was a bit weird, and when it died it just sort of slowly keeled over instead of dropping realistically to the floor. This is very disappointing to me because this is something I'm really keen for, because even after investigating just the second derelict, it becomes tedious just to look for the black box or the crew members. So this feature will be moving back to Alpha 3.3. The biggest news of this roadmap update is the fact that network bind culling again did not meet the deadline for Alpha 3.2. Network bind culling along with object container streaming are 2 major features that will help optimize the game's performance to improve those frames that we so desperately crave. This then is again quite a devastating knock for 3.2 as it was for 3.1. Now with both bind culling and object container streaming set for 3.3, we can hope for some major improvements to the game towards the end of the year. That's assuming that it gets done for Alpha 3.3. In the meantime though, the devs were able to move all entities into the serialized variable system. This means that the spawning mechanics should run smoother and items should spawn into the game more efficiently. Let's hope from 3.2 we will see less instances where our ships spawn without seeds, weapons or engines. These game systems are now being integrated into the persistent universe and the clients, and this is now being tested to see if it caused any new bugs. With that said, 3.2 have been released to the Evocati. This means that progress is being made and that we can soon expect the wider PTU releases. I must say I cannot wait. Well, that's all the important bits from RTV. During this coming week, I'll be looking at the subscribership of the month, which is the Reclaimer. I'm still trying to land the ship on a planet to get nice footage of the ship to get a feature video on it. I'm not used to this big ship and I find it really hard to control upon entering the atmosphere of one of Crusader's moons. When that is completed, I will start working on a video showing off the new subscriber flare weapons issued to subscribers over the last couple of months. These weapons have custom new skins and they look great, so keep an eye on the channel for those. I do have quite a busy week outside of gaming, so we will see how things go on this front, but I'm really confident that we will see another video come out this week. So that is pretty much it for this week, and thank you for watching the 6th episode of the Wire series, and I hope there was some content there that you enjoyed. If you did like it, give it a thumbs up below and a thumbs down if you didn't. Comment below on what you liked and what you disliked, and I will make an effort to improve based on your comments. In the video description you will find links to all the content that I've covered today. While you're down there, check out my social media links and follow me there for more content. I would massively appreciate it if you also supported me on Patreon, and thanks to the few of you who are already doing so, you are my absolute heroes. Another way of supporting me would be to visit my merch store at designbyhumans/shop/GTDae. I'm GTDae, the average Joe gamer, and once again, thanks for watching, stay awesome, and I will see you in the next one.